This is Lacy Robertson, the hardest working woman in mortgage and real estate nationwide, and I'm here to bring you this week's report of California companies that will be laying off a significant amount of workforce where we received and processed their notice between December 4th and December 22nd. I know that's covering a little bit more than a week. Yes, because I missed a couple of weeks sharing this information. And thankfully, it was only a few companies, so I've kind of doubled up. And so we'll be caught up once you see this video at 5 a.m. on Monday, December 29th, Pacific Standard Time. So anyways, before I ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe to my channel, I'm pretty sure you're wondering, especially if you're new to me, what does layoff information have to do with mortgage and real estate? I'm glad you were wondering. I'm glad you asked the question because guess what? I have an answer. It was many, many years ago. I was super excited. I was getting ready to purchase a piece of property. Woohoo! The seller was excited. They were getting ready to get the proceeds from the sale of their property. Woohoo! I had signed my loan documents. I went back to work hours later. And I find out that myself and 399 other people were getting laid off that day. You can only imagine what was going on in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm buying a house. I can't afford this house. I don't have a job. How am I going to make the payment? I can't buy this house. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can only imagine what was going on in my head. So I called my mortgage broker at the time. I called my real estate broker at the time. I said, look, you can't fund this loan. I don't have a job. I faxed him over all the paperwork. And thankfully, I was able to unravel the transaction, right? I was able to pull out. But guess what? The bad news is I didn't get my money back. I didn't get my deposit back because most of you know if you've ever purchased a piece of property, by the time you sign loan documents, you most likely have removed all your contingencies, meaning you are going full steam ahead. You're not pulling out. This is what you want to do. When you sign loan documents, there's no rescission period like there is in a refinance where you got 3 days to kind of think about it, make sure that you want to move forward with the transaction. And so there I have it. I didn't get my money back from my deposit. It wasn't my fault I got laid off. It wasn't the seller's fault that I got laid off, but they were entitled to keep my deposit. I also spent money on home inspection, pest inspection, appraisal inspection, all of that. So I didn't get that money back, right? So there's two reasons why I share this information. What would you do differently if there was a possibility that you might get laid off? Would you not buy that new house or car? Would you not go on that shopping spree or lavish vacation? Would you redo your budget and start saving aggressively and paying off debt? Would you perhaps maybe refinance, pull out some money, pay off some debt? Like, what would you do differently? Would you dust off your resume, update it, put some fillers out there to see if there are other companies that are hiring in your field? Would you start that new business maybe? Would you write that new book that's always been in your heart? So what would you do differently if there was a possibility that you might get laid off? The second reason why I share this information is I want you to know you don't have to lose your house just because you lost your job or you're facing a financial hardship. I've been helping clients for years lower their mortgage payment, make it more affordable so they don't have to exhaust all their savings trying to make their mortgage payment each month. So it doesn't matter if you had a loss of income due to a death, divorce, illness, injury, layoff, or natural disaster. I'm your girl. Yes, I'm your girl. I can help you lower that payment and make it more affordable. Now, before I get started in this list, it is not that long, even though we're doubling up. So that is a great thing because we're always prayerful for the people that have lost their jobs, right? I want to share with you what I was able to accomplish for one of my clients. This one, I mean, I'm really excited about all of them, but this particular one that I want to share is very unique because many people don't know. Let me share my screen really quick. Let's see. I'm sharing. I think we're good. Okay. Many people don't know that you can modify home equity lines of credit, right? a lot of people know, like, if you have a first mortgage, but if you have a second mortgage, like a home equity line of credit, or maybe you bought your house with a home equity line of credit, you were sophisticated, you got educated, and it worked for you. You can modify those too if you fall on hard times. So if you look at this one, this is from Bank of America. My client was actually $6,756.33 behind. This was equating to about a year or so. They were behind, had not paid any payments on their home equity line of credit. It was just really, really tough for them. And I was able to come in and modify their mortgage. Now, their previous mortgage payment was $520.79. And they had an initial interest rate of 2.74%. It was an adjustable rate mortgage. Okay. Now I came in, again, this is a home equity line of credit. So most of them are not fixed mortgage, fixed interest rates. They usually are fixed maybe after a few years, 5, sometimes 10 years, but usually about 5 or 7 years, they're adjusting. And I was able to modify my client's mortgage, and their payment was $543.65. Now, that included principal and interest. There's no escrow tied to a home equity line. And I know you're probably saying, well, that's like $23 more than their initial payment. You got to understand, when I modified this, not only were they behind over $6,700, but I also got their interest rate down to 0.125% for a specific amount of time, and then it capped out at 4.125, unlike what their previous terms were. So this was a huge win for my client. And I wanted to share that because I often don't share home equity lines of credit that have been modified. So if you have one, if you're behind, again, you've had a loss of income for whatever reason, I want you to know that you can get that modified too. So here we go. Let's get into this list. Again, these are California companies that will be laying off a significant amount of workforce, where we received and processed their notice between December 4th and December 22nd. Now, some of you guys are like, you know what? I already know my company's laying off. I got the notice. It was all on the news. I seen it online. Lacy, I don't need to hear your video. How do I get in contact with you? I'm glad you asked. You can pick up the phone and dial 714-914-7254. Again, that's 714-914-7254. Or you can get in contact with me on all social media platforms at Go Lacy Robertson. That's Lacy without an E and Robertson with a T. So let's get started. We have 18 entries. That doesn't mean 18 different companies. Some companies are on here multiple times. Maybe they're laying off multiple days or at different locations. Okay, so we'll get through this list as quickly as possible. And again, we'll keep these families in our prayers. So January 9th. Let me tell you how I give the list, because if you're new to me, you don't know. So I will give then the companies in alphabetical order, right? So I'm going to give the companies in alphabetical order. I'm going to let you know the name of the company that's laying off, the date. I'm going to let you know if that layoff is temporary, if it's permanent, if it's a closure, whatever information I have there. I'm going to give you how many people they're laying off and the location. Okay. All right, let's get started. January 9th, AARP is closing permanently. They're laying off 18 people at 3200 East Carson Street in Lakewood. February 9th, Anheuser-Busch Commercial Strategy LLC is closing permanently, laying off 238 people at 3101 Bush Drive in Fairfield. April 3rd, Biomerix. Look, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Let me go ahead and spell it. It's BIOMERIEUX Inc. I'm sure if you work for that company, you'll be like, that's the company I work for, and you'll forgive if I if I pronounced it incorrectly. Okay, They're closing permanently. They're laying off 121 people at 130 Baytech Drive in San Jose. February 5th, Blue Water Grills closing permanently, laying off 47 people at 15 East Cabrillo Boulevard in Santa Barbara. February 10th, GNC Staffing LLC is closing permanently. They're laying off 12 people at 64125 19th Avenue in Desert Hot Springs. You have February 10th, GNC Staffing LLC is closing permanently, laying off 6 people at 1190 Coleman Avenue in San Jose. And then again, February 10th, GNC Staffing LLC is closing permanently, laying off 36 people at 1695 South 7th Street in San Jose. February 17th, Illumina Inc. is laying off permanently 3 people at 5200 Illumina Way in San Diego. February 6th, Jabble Inc. is closing permanently, laying off 21 people at 524 Stone Road in Benicia. Never heard of that city. Benicia. Of course, and we're talking about California. December 30th, Loprino Foods Company is closing permanently, laying off 100 people at 490 F Street in Lemoore. January 16th, Nation Star Mortgage, also known as Mr. Cooper, is laying off permanently 102 people at 25500 Commerce Center Drive in Lake Forest. February 13th, Primo Brands, Inc. is laying off permanently 1 person at 1522 North New Hope Street in Santa Ana. February 13th, Primo Brands, Inc. is laying off permanently an additional person at 221 East Alondra Boulevard in Gardena. February 2nd, Swift Beef Company is closing permanently, laying off 374 people at 15555 Meridian Parkway in Riverside. January 30th, Terzo Enterprises Incorporated is closing permanently. They're laying off 58 people at 19254 Quinn Road in Bakersfield. February 16th, Warner Music Inc. is laying off permanently 5 people at 777 South Santa Fe Avenue in Los Angeles. February 6th, Wells Fargo is laying off permanently 114 people at 2125 Butano Drive in Sacramento. Last but not least, we have February 9th. Zebra Technologies Corporation is closing permanently. They're laying off 75 people at 2811 Orchard Parkway in San Jose, California. That is the end of this week's list of California companies that will be laying off a significant amount of workforce where we received and processed their notice between December 4th, 2025 and December 22nd, 2025. Now, if you've experienced a loss of income due to a death, divorce, illness, injury, layoff, or natural disaster, I want you to know there's options available. You don't have to lose your home. There are more temporary options like a forbearance plan or a repayment plan, and there's more permanent options like maybe a refinance, a loan modification. So do know if you've experienced a loss of income, I don't care what it's from, death, divorce, illness, injury, layoff, or natural disaster, pick up the phone and dial 714-914-7254. Don't forget, for all your mortgage and real estate needs, I want you to follow me on all social media platforms at Go Lacy Robertson. That's Lacy without an E and Robertson with a T. I'm Lacy Robertson, the hardest working woman in mortgage and real estate nationwide. I look forward to working with you and for you. And until then, have a blessed day.